while I have been working in the mental wellness arena, I first am trying to explore the concept of mental health as it exists for people like you. So let me first start by asking this question. When I use the word mental health or mental wellness, what do you understand by that? Yes, please.
Mental health refers to the state of being mentally stable.
Okay. Mental health refers to the state of being mentally stable. Let me first say, every answer that you will give around mental health and this is what you mean is going to be the right answer. It may not be the complete answer, but it is definitely going to be the right answer. So, more people, if I can have other people also talk about what do they mean by mental health. So, mental health, according to him, is the state of being stable. Somebody else? Yes, please. You can speak from there.
To have a peaceful mind.
Mental health means to have a peaceful mind. Okay? Somebody else? Yes, please.
Mind that can decide for itself.
Mental health means to have a mind that can decide for itself. Okay? Somebody else? Yes, please.
Sir, it means to get relief from stress and not take that much.
It means to get relief from stress and not take that much stress. Okay? The one in front of him? Yes.
How fit you are mentally.
How fit you are mentally. Can I have some of the girls participate as well? Yes, please.
How you can tackle your problems.
How you can tackle your problems. Okay? Somebody else? So it means to be mentally. Yes, please.
To have control over your emotions.
To have control on your emotions. Absolutely. Somebody else? So let me first start by exploring the concept of mental health as people look at it in various different genres and various different demographics and how they explain it. One aspect of mental health is looked upon as mental disorders. Okay? So it could be bipolar, it could be schizophrenia, it could be ADHD, it could be something else. Okay? But clinically proven mental health disorders. That's one part of mental health. The second part of mental wellness or mental health is where you look at people in how they perceive or how they take stress or how they take pressure. And it arrives from one of two states. Either from the state of sadness or from the state of loneliness. Okay. Today, while we will touch upon the second stage, the first phase, we will leave that. Okay. We are not going to discuss that today. Okay. That's a very important part of mental health, but there is enough and more that ongoingly is happening. At least there are resources and all that are available for you to explore that. So we will talk a little bit about this concept of the state of sadness and loneliness. Okay. Number 3, in that we will talk majorly about the aspects of mental wellness that probably you all would go through. Now, what happens is, usually people have a certain response to, specifically to children of your age, as adolescents, as teenagers. Everybody's response to mental wellness, to mental health for you, whether it is to be stable, whether it is to have control over your emotions, whether it is to be able to decipher yourself or to be able to make decisions for yourself, everybody's answer in that is threefold. Number 1, be strong. Right? I'm sure that's what you keep hearing from people. Be strong. Number 2, you will grow out of it. Right? That's what you hear. I mean, you right now think this particular issue is big, but it's actually not big. You'll grow out of it. Just let it be. Number 3, this aspect of, okay, try to be happy. Try to have control over your emotions. Try to do something. Now, we all keep hearing these aspects in our everyday life. Okay? But really, it is very rarely that people truly ask children of your age. Okay, I'm using the word children while I understand you guys are not children anymore. But for the sake of this conversation, people of your age. Okay, students, specifically students that are in high school. High school meaning grades 9 through 12. specifically students that are going through life changes. And really, life changes that are above and beyond any other life change that you will go through in your life. There are 5 critical changes that a person experiences in their life. One is at the age of 13. Okay? When they start getting into high school, when they grow up. This is when they decipher the difference between everything being for them versus interpersonal relationships. That's the first stage that people go through. The second stage is when people enter into college. There is a sense of freedom, there is a sense of exploration, and there is a sense of worry that comes when you enter into college. The third is when you first start working. So when you get out of college and you jump into a life where you have to earn. Okay? Fourth is when you get married. And of course, the fifth is when you have kids. The 5 key life changes that happen for a person are these 5. You are currently at perhaps what I consider as the most important phase of that life change. This is where your mental health, your well-being, your ability to be able to define everything for yourself keeps on changing. You have never experienced the kind of stress in your life that you will experience, that you are already experiencing, or that you will experience over the next few years. That is because there is a lot of expectations from you. That is because you have to define your career, your life, what you would do. For students who are in class 9, class 9th and 11th are here, right? For students that are in class 9, you have an all-important question. Kya lena hai? Science or arts or commerce? Which subjects would you opt for when you graduate from 10th class? For students that are in class 11, have an even more important question. Okay, I chose to take commerce. Now what do? Will I get enough marks? 10th class boards, you get marks, but they are, while they are defining, but they are not as important as the 12th board exams. In 12th, they actually define the next phase of your life. Perhaps they are so important that I can say they probably define your life. I keep telling students, specifically when I go to colleges or when I talk to people that are slightly older than you. Once somebody enters into a professional field, whether it is engineering, whether it is medical, whether it is in commerce side or in art side or whatever, nobody fails in college. If you enter into something, there is a very strong possibility, irrespective of whatever good or ugly you do, you will get out of there. And you will get out of there with a degree in your hand. So perhaps our most important part of your life is right now. What that essentially means for all of us is we have a lot of pressure. We are under a lot of stress. We have our lives changing. We have our bodies changing. We have our understanding of the world changing. And that makes this conversation about mental health and mental wellness extremely important for everyone. So, what I will do, I will walk you through a few charts that I have here, where we will explore what that means. But as I said, this session is not about me enlightening you. It is more about you enlightening me. I want to understand what goes on, and I'm on this continuous journey right now. I want to explore and understand what goes on in your lives. What's the kind of pressure that you face? What's the kind of stress that you face? More importantly, I also want to understand what's the sort of pressure, what's the sort of challenges your parents face or they make you go through. See, there are people that get stressed themselves, and then there are people whose parents get stressed. They worry more about how you are, they worry more about what you ate, they worry more about how well you did in your exams, they worry more about what degree you got, which activities are you participating in, who your friends are, who you hang out with, what TV show you are watching, what are you doing on Netflix, are you online all day, what are you doing on Instagram, and I can keep going on and on and on. So there are people, students, that get worried themselves. And then there are students whose parents get worried. So I also want to hear from you and understand what is it that your parents worry about. And while I go through these charts, I will talk about specific aspects of what you should be doing. I am here not talking about people that are, currently in depression. Okay? Which, by the way, is an extremely interesting point that people need to understand. We all of us, our understanding of depression essentially starts from Bollywood. Can somebody tell me what is the concept of depression in Bollywood? Yeah.
Which means that person is crying alone.
That person is crying alone. Okay. Somebody else? What is the concept of depression in Bollywood? Yes, please. Where people are considered to be very mentally unstable. Where people are considered to be very mentally unstable. Somebody else? Concept of depression? Okay. So let me first explain what my understanding of concept of depression from Bollywood is. It is either that mother who is sitting on a corner of a room and looking at the wall, doesn't recognize anybody, doesn't do anything, doesn't have anything, she doesn't understand what's going on everywhere, she's just looking at the wall. People will keep coming, keep talking to her, and then suddenly one thing will happen, and then her amnesia will get over. But that is how Bollywood expresses depression. Second, how Bollywood expresses depression is the side hero, the comedy person that will almost tear his clothes apart and run on the road. These are the two ways that Bollywood expresses our anxiety, our depression, and our panic attacks. And this for me is where I start worrying about what are we creating. Do we even have students that understand when to look for what is going on in their mental health? Do we have students that can worry about what they are going through? Can they even appreciate what goes on with them? The pressure, the stress, can they even recognize symptoms of when they are under additional stress, additional pressure, additional sadness, additional loneliness, where they actually might require support? Depression is neither that old mother sitting on the corner, and depression is definitely not that guy running on the street. In fact, depression does not happen when depression does not happen when bells ring in the air. Depression does not happen when you are able to look at the person and say, this one is going through depression. Depression or even stress or even anxiety, it's a very personal viewpoint for people. Okay? It is just something that you are going through in your life. You can see and you can hear about people that had depression. They were at a party yesterday. They were doing something very fun the day before. They were having the time of their life 3-4 days back. And today, you realize they were in depression. Whether that depression means they now ended up into getting support for their depression, or whether they identified they had depression, or whether they ended up, doing something, or whether they ended up in kind of, self-harm or whatever else. But it doesn't necessarily come with bells ringing. It doesn't necessarily come with somebody being sad forever. Okay? And that's a very, very important aspect for all of you to understand. What you need to do is to appreciate the stress, the sadness, the loneliness, the fears, the panics, and everything that goes on with you. My sincere belief is if we empower people, If we give people, specifically people like you, if we give them the right knowledge and more importantly, the right set of tools, they can do a lot more. And my sincere belief, which is what makes me keep coming to specifically schools and doing this over and over again. My sincere belief is, if any of you wants to increase your grade in one subject by X%, you can study that subject and increase your grades by X% in that subject. Or you can spend exactly the same amount of time in worrying about your mental wellness, in worrying about your mental health, and you can probably increase your grade in all subjects across all spheres of your life by the same X%. That's how important mental health and mental wellness is for all of us, especially for all of us. There are a lot of organizations that works on mental health and they target people who are older and they target people who go through mental disorders. For me, while they are of course extremely important and they need to be done, for me, I want to specifically focus on people like you. I want to specifically focus on identifying and looking at, can we improve your mental wellness? Can we empower you with the right sort of knowledge? And can we empower you with the right set of tools? With that, let's get to the next slide. Actually, wait 1 second. Let me actually read this because it is extremely important. It is always late to talk about your mental health, but it is never too late. Do you get the meaning of that? Today, if you start talking about your mental health, I can tell you you are late by some time. But it is not too late. So you need to start thinking about it, you need to start looking at it. And while you are looking at your mental health, what you also do is you look for mental health of people around you. The friends that you have, the people you associate with, other members of your class, other members that associate with you, other members that you work with. Let's go to the next slide. So, let me ask, do you know of somebody, it may be a person here, or it may be a person not in this room, do you know of somebody that needs help? Help in their mental health. I don't want you to name, I'm just asking, do you know somebody? How many people know somebody that needs mental health support? So I have nearly 20 hands. That's it. You don't know anybody that needs mental health support? And you don't know anybody. It could be your friends, it could be people at your home, it could be somebody that works for you, it could be whoever. But anybody who needs mental health support. And I define mental health support with saying people that are sad, that are lonely, that express additional emotion, that express additional aggression, that make you uncomfortable at times. Or any of these one thing. So it looks like nearly 25% people in this room know of somebody that needs mental health support. Is there anybody that did not raise their hand earlier and would like to raise their hand now, saying they know somebody that needs mental health support? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I have another 15-20% people that raise their hands. By the way, the ratio normally in schools, actually not just schools, the ratio normally in conversations around mental health is only 30% people will participate. So you guys are number one, a wonderful crowd, because I have 40-45% people raising their hand. And number two, it essentially says that everyone in this room, whether they have raised their hand or not, knows somebody that needs mental health support. In my sincere belief, while we are just coming off of COVID, COVID was, and I understand it was extremely bad. It was extremely sad for a lot of us. A lot of us went through grief around that time. A lot of us went through mental wellness issues. A lot of us had losses in our families or in our friends or people around. While I understand all that, but in my personal view, COVID was a slightly smaller pandemic than what mental wellness is right now. In case of COVID, we suffered, we recovered, and life has started back. In case of mental health, we are deteriorating by the day. While before I go to the next chart, let me give you some statistics. In India, a few years back, okay, our happiness index used to be 89%. I'm talking about, I think around 2010. Our happiness index as a country used to be 89%, which means 89% of people, if surveyed under normal circumstances, would say they're not sad or unhappy. They're comfortable with their life. Neutral, normal, or happy. When this survey was done before COVID, I'm not talking about after COVID. When this survey was done before COVID, that happiness index had fallen from 89% to 66%. That means 1 out of every 4 people that were happy earlier were unhappy when they were interviewed or when they were asked the second time. And I don't even want to predict what that number would be in a post-COVID world. Okay? My best guess is the number will be in its 40s, if not in its 30s. Let's go to the next chart. So you all talked about, most of you know somebody that needs mental health support. Next. Now this is the most important one. We as a country, we as a nation, we as a world, we as humans have made a lot of progress in talking about mental health. Okay? The school has been kind enough to organize such workshops to discuss this issue with you. A few years back, when I was in school, you know what was the response to I have mental health issues? Can anybody guess? Go for a walk. Okay. Anybody else? I'm sorry? It doesn't matter. Okay. I'm sorry? Get enrolled in the mental hospital. Okay. Just do what makes you happy. Anybody else? There is nothing like mental health. Anybody else?
Spending some time in hobbies. Spending some time in hobbies and recreational activities.
Spending some time in hobbies and recreational activities. Avoid it. Yes?
Eat your favorite food.
Eat your favorite food. Yeah. Be positive. Take a break exploring yourself. I'm not talking about your time, I'm talking about my time, which was 25 years back. I'm sorry? It will take time. Let me tell you, none of this. दो थप्पड़ मारो ठीक हो जाएगा. I'm not joking. In fact, even today, I went to a small school, actually a large school in an extremely small city. I went to a large school in an extremely small city, and the owner of the school said, "Bhai, mental health workshop, so I just can't make it happen. हमारे यहाँ तो बच्चे को mental health issue होता है, 2 थप्पड़ मारते हैं ठीक हो जाता है." I am not joking. Okay, I'm talking about this conversation was 2 weeks back.
Yeah.
2 weeks back. This was the response we got from a school, not in Delhi, not in a metro, not in a large city, in an extremely small city. But we still live in that kind of world. So, do you? How many people here think They need some. I'm not talking about you going out and getting yourself enrolled in a mental hospital. I am not talking about you getting psychiatric treatment. I am not talking about you taking medication. I am not talking about you being classified as somebody with a mental health disorder. As I said earlier, mental health disorders and mental health issues are two completely different words. I can at some point of time, if the school needs, come back and specifically deal with and talk about mental health disorders. But that's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about mental health issues. How many of you have any sort of mental health issues that they think they need help with? So you identified that all of you know somebody that has mental health issues or that needs help. Do you? Can I see a raise of hands if there is anybody? 1, 2, 3. You can raise your hand higher. It's okay. Anybody else? Okay, great. So now let's go to the next slide. So, how many of you know this game? Never have I ever. That's it? Okay, once again, there are nearly 30% people raising their hand, 30% should be the average response. So, in some ways, I could say everybody knows this game. But in case there is one abnormality that doesn't, okay, and let me be clear, if I'm saying abnormality, I don't really mean it. Okay, I know many of you may not know this game. Never have I ever is essentially I will give you a series of situations, and you have to identify if you have ever faced that situation. And essentially, this game is sometimes played similar to how Truth and Dare gets played, how other games get played. You identify never have I ever, and then you do something. Okay? No, please don't look like that. I'm not talking about drinking. I'm simply talking about you do a push-up. Okay? Or you do a sit-up. That's it. Okay? Let's go. So let's play Never Have I Ever. Next. I'm going to read these and I want you guys to raise your hand if you ever faced this situation. Okay? Okay? So, uncertainty about your future. How many of you have worried about this? Stressed about this? Oh my god, game is not going to work like I thought. Okay. Fair enough. So 80% people have worried about this, suffered with this. Actually, can we do it the other way around? Can everybody keep their hands over? Hands raised up? Everybody? Now, when I read this, if there is actually never have I ever in any of these, okay, put your hand down. No, if there is anything. So, uncertainty about future, career dilemmas. People that worry about their career. Unhealthy competition. Now, when you have put your hand down, if there is something else that comes, you keep your hand back again. Approval from peer groups. Those who worry about whether my peers, whether my best friend, whether that person in my class or whatever else will approve of this. Bullying. And here I am only talking about people that get bullied. We will do a separate one for people that do bullying. Now, let me say, bullying is a very interesting aspect, a very interesting phenomenon. While we may think it happens in schools, it actually happens in every phase of your life. In every phase of your life. And the important aspect about bullying is there is one thing which is called healthy bullying. So, it's a way for people to be able to show that they know something or they are better at something. But then, a lot of times, that bullying goes across the boundary line and it becomes unhealthy bullying, which is something wherein we, as the bully, not only want to show that we know something, that we are better at something, that we are superior at something, but we essentially force ourselves upon somebody else who gets scared, who gets pushed, who gets uncomfortable. So I'm simply talking about bullying that you guys face, not bullying that you guys do. Next, family expectations. Low self-esteem. Those that worry at times about low self-esteem. Low self-esteem because the marks that you get. Low self-esteem because of how you look. Low self-esteem because of friends that you have. And by the way, friends that you have is perhaps one of the most important reasons of low self-esteem, specifically in schools. Low self-esteem because of everything else. Body image issues. How many of you suffer from body image issues? Performance anxiety. How will I perform in school? What will my grades be? Exam stress. Academic pressure. So now let me ask you. There are 10 pointers in this list. How many of you did not have yes to 5 of these? कितने लोग हैं when we were going through this, they had yes to 1, 2, 3 or 4, not 5. So there are 5, 6 people, 7 people who had yes to only 5 of these. How many of you had yes to less than 3 of these? 1, 2, 3. How many of you had yes to only 1 of these? So there is no point in asking zero. That's the state of mental health that we all have. I'm not saying this means that you all need to start getting help. Absolutely not. That would be absolutely not. All I'm saying is that means all of you, in your own specific roles, in your own specific works, need to keep looking out for when does you need help. There is this concept that one very famous psychiatrist in US talked to me about, and the concept he called as when the pain goes through the stigma. Essentially, it means people talk about their mental health or a trauma that they faced or a problem that they had only and only when the pain breaks through the stigma. I'm talking about serious issues. Right? Somebody went through some domestic violence issues in their childhood. Somebody went through something else, in their childhood, or at whatever time. Somebody went through a war and saw something extremely bad. These are all cases of trauma that people face. Do you know what is the average time that it takes for a person to have experienced a trauma and for the pain to break through the stigma? Stigma meaning it is not considered appropriate to talk about your mental health, right? I mean, even now, when you use the word I have mental health issue, people start saying you must be crazy. People start saying, looking at you differently. People start experiencing you differently. People start behaving with you differently. People don't look at you as a performer anymore. And we still have a lot of stigma in the society. Most parents I meet these days are very comfortable with the concept of mental health and children having mental health issues, except their kids. And that's a very revealing phenomenon that we have in society. Most parents are comfortable in saying, this person has mental health issues. This kid needs help, but it can't be their kid. I'm saying we all, okay, go through and experience this stigma. In the US, which is perhaps an extremely developed country, where mental health therapy, I mean, how many times do you watch a show now and it uses the word my therapist said? There are actually memes about this now. Right? I don't need to tell you guys what memes are, right? There are memes about. There is this concept of my therapist said. It is so well accepted in the Western phenomenon. Do you know what is the average time for the pain to break through the stigma, for somebody to talk about the trauma that they face? Any guesses? In US, where it is extremely acceptable, where therapy is very normalized, where it is actually, they say if you want to be a peak performer, if you want to do well, if you want to be fully aware of yourself, be fully expressed, and be fully able to do things up to your potential, you should always seek therapy or always take counseling. In that country, what is the average time it takes for the pain to break through the stigma? Any guesses? Yes, please. 1 month. 5 months. 1 year. 2 years. 2 to 3 months. Anybody else? 5, 6 years. It's actually 11 years. It's actually 11 years. From when the time the person experiences trauma to the time person becomes comfortable talking about it. And that comfort is simply and purely when the pain breaks through the stigma. Think of what all does that person go through in those 11 years that that person doesn't express. Lives with all that, doesn't tell anybody, their family, their friends, forget about going to therapy, going to talk to someone, not even to their close friends. And we all have such secrets. We all go through such issues. We all go through such environments. We have all grown up, right? We are all 14 plus. Right? Is there anybody here who is under 14? 1%. Okay. Much you are over 13, right? So we all go through that. So let's go to the next one. And I want you to look at this very closely. Okay? Once again, with everyone, please raise your hand and put it down after that. Number 1, felt I can't function. Has there been a point of time when you felt I can't function? Felt alone in a room full of people. And especially, 50% of the world is introvert, 50% of the world is extrovert. I don't care what social media says, and I don't care how familiar, how comfortable, and how prominent you are on social media. In reality, 50% people are extroverts, 50% people are introverts. Introverts always have this problem. They feel alone in a room full of people. So there are good 20% people here that felt alone. Talk to a stranger and felt amazing. It's incredible. I recently went to a wedding. And it was a wedding of somebody that used to work for me. And at that wedding, I met one of his friends. And we both just started talking. It was a wedding, so everybody was busy doing their own thing. We both just after almost the wedding function was over, the fairas had to happen. So you have to wait like an hour and a half or 2 hours before the fairas will start, and then the fairas happen. Of course, what are we going to do in the fairas, right? So for those 3-4 hours, we both just started talking, and it was incredible the kind of things that person shared with me and the kind of things I shared with that person. I don't think I've ever done that with anybody. Ever. And it felt amazing. So a complete stranger, talk to a complete stranger and felt amazing. Had self-esteem lower than the pits of hell. Felt misunderstood by family and friends. Everybody goes through that almost, right? At some point of time, whether it is your friends, whether it is your family, they just don't understand what you need and why you did things a certain way. Your friends don't understand why you had to go to that shadi of this distant relative because your parents forced you to. And your parents definitely don't understand why you need to go to your friend's house even though you spent the entire morning in school with them. Right? And amongst other things. Had felt like I was being judged. Almost everybody. Had unshareable thoughts. Unshareable thoughts, just so we are clear, are not always dirty thoughts. Okay? Unshareable thoughts are our own expressions that we just can't speak out. They could be extremely sinister, extremely bad, extremely violent. Okay, sometimes they could be dirty, but I am not talking about dirty thoughts only. I am talking about unshareable thoughts. Next, solve the role. I am extremely happy that I have some boys raising their hand. It usually goes against the masculinity that we all keep talking about. So I'm extremely happy that we have some boys saying this. Wanted someone to talk to. So yeah, I have friends. Yeah, I have family. Yeah, I have people. And for the right relevant reasons, I'm not including teachers in these because most students are not very comfortable talking mental health with their teachers unless it is against their parents. Wanted someone to talk to. Now, is there anybody that did not raise their hand at any of these? People that raised their hands at less than 3? Less than 3. I saw your hand 4 or 5 times at least, maybe more. People that raised their hands at less than 5? Now, does this help you understand and appreciate the value and importance of mental health? What if I could tell you that there are better ways of doing this? Yes.
Mental health issues can be handled by engaging in some or the other recreational activities.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Mental health issues can be handled by engaging in some of the other recreational activity. These are the, so on the right, the chart that you see, these are various feeling anxious or worried, feeling depressed or unhappy, emotional outbursts, sleep problems, weight or appetite changes, quiet or withdrawn, substance abuse, feeling guilty or worthless, changes in behaviors or feelings. These are generally things that happen when you have yes to things on the previous chart and yes to things on this chart. And when any of this starts to happen, you don't need to go to a therapist. I'm not suggesting that. Okay? But you need to start thinking about your mental health. And in the next few slides, we will also talk about some specific things that you can do. Next. Next. This we talked about COVID and how things have changed significantly. Let me ask a question. How many of you worried about climate change? Genuinely, like you get anxious or depressed or worried or you really get angry about climate change. 8 to 10 of you. What makes you worry? The future. How about you?
Increasing heat, climate change,
The
like
increasing heat.
I get ill again in winters.
You get ill again in winters. How many of you worry about conformity? Conformity meaning you have to live your life being able to fulfill expectations of people around you. And I'm not talking about expectations of your parents. They are always unreasonable. Okay? I'm not talking about expectations of your parents here. I am more talking about expectations of your peers, expectations of your friends, expectations of your cousins, expectations of your distant relatives. Not expectations that you have from yourself, but expectations of others. That's what I call as conformity. You put your hands down. Now, let's talk about why is it that we guys don't talk about our mental health. The first aspect that I have always seen is the taboo or the stigma that we talk about. But let me assure you, we have moved way past that. I'm not suggesting there are not people that do not have this taboo or this stigma in their head. There definitely are people. But as a society, as a comprehensive ecosystem, we have moved beyond the taboo or the stigma. So it is absolutely okay for you to talk. You still don't believe that. I understand that. Some of you may take it to heart and may start expressing yourself more. But even if your parents are not comfortable, even if somebody around you is not comfortable, even if one of your teachers is not comfortable or a friend is not comfortable, we comprehensively as a society are now comfortable. We understand everybody has mental health issues. Once again, I am not referring to mental health disorders. I am referring to mental health issues here. Next. One of why we keep talking about this aspect of taboo or stigma, in my view, one of the major reasons people don't talk about their mental health is not just because of the taboo. It is also majorly because they fear being judged. They think I will talk to somebody and they will judge me. And they will judge me not just right now for what I'm saying, but that judgment of right now will stay with them forever. And perhaps you are not wrong. Perhaps the only answer to this is that we all need to start not judging people when they talk about their mental health issues. For us to not think of them as soft stories, for us to not think of them as mentally unstable, for us to not think of them as enemies. Next, getting misused. So, for example, you may go today and you may say, I'm feeling this, and something else happens, and the other person will say, oh, you always feel like this. Or they may actually misuse, manipulate, or not do something that you want. When you share your mental health issues, a lot of times people have this fear of being misused. The answer that I want to give to this is you are absolutely right. There will be situations that people may want to misuse. However, you lose out on more by not talking about it versus the misuse. The misuse just means you need to choose people carefully. Misuse just means that you need to be conscious and cautious. Next. That your issues will be trivialized. As I said earlier, for youngsters, the best answer when they talk about their mental health issues is that you'll grow out of it. It's not important. It's useless. For me, my 12th board exams is a case of my life and death. And I'm just saying 12 board exams, that's not. I know there are many other issues. But for me, it's a case of, it's a question of life and death. And you are telling me it's not important. Usually, our elders give this response to a lot of things. It's not important, you'll get out of it. But trust, it is important. If you are feeling uncomfortable, If you are feeling not good about something, it's a body. Yes. This is how the cycle really works. People get sad or lonely. From there on, people become dejected. From there on, all these emotions are reinforced. And you keep looking at things that happen again and again, and you keep telling yourself, yeah, it's not working. And then there is a point of time when it becomes totally hopeless. It meaning you. And then people enter into what is called as depression. What I am trying to do as a mission for myself is to help people. And now, when I say people, I'm not just talking about students, I'm talking about everybody in the world. Okay? What I am trying to do is to help people get out of sad and lonely, dejected, reinforced, and hopeless state into a comfortable, livable, happy environment for themselves and for people around them. Next. And this is how I have begun. I sincerely believe if empowered, if equipped with the right tools and the right solutions, everybody can take care of their mental health. Everybody. In schools, in colleges, in corporates, in homes, in all environments. Everybody, if equipped with the right tools and solutions, can take care of their mental health. And in that, we have started this concept of looking at psychological capital. Every time you do something that takes care of your mental health, okay, this concept used to be there for happiness earlier, but we are extending that and talking about mental health. Every time you do something that takes care of your mental health, you are essentially generating psychological capital for yourself. That psychological capital is used by you, and more importantly, that psychological capital is used by everybody around you. So, you taking care of your mental health is absolutely and extremely important for yourself, but it is just as important for people around you. Which is why I want you guys, while you are looking at your mental health, your mental wellness, your well being, to also keep looking at everybody around you. Now, it's like the COVID phenomenon. If one student is going to get it, their friends are definitely going to. And it's exactly the same with mental health. The challenge is there is no RT-PCR test. There is no way you can recognize that. And all of us have it. It's, okay. Go ahead.
Go back.
I'm sorry, I'm not used to this.
Up, up.
Sorry. And I will give you a whole bunch of different solutions. First, let me talk about some generic ones that you guys mentioned earlier. Take deep breaths. That, yes.
No, nothing. I just thought that you were asking me about how many people take deep breaths in order to alleviate.
No, no, no. I'm giving you solutions. And some of you may already be doing some of these. Okay? And when I say take deep breaths, it could be breathing exercises that you do, it could be yoga that you do, it could be meditation that you do. Okay? All of these three are mechanisms through which you monitor, you control, and you take care of your breathing and hence your well-being. By the way, do you know your mental health is significantly influenced by the food that you eat? There is this concept called as gut health. And specifically in the Western countries, right now, when they are looking at mental health, that's where they are doing most of their research. Looking at the health of your gut, looking at the food that you eat, looking at what goes in your body. Anyway, next, visit your favorite place. Next, journal. Journal essentially means express yourself, write something. Okay? Whether you write it and share with people or whether you write it and keep it with yourself is a different question. And we'll talk a little bit more about journaling in following slides. Next. Listen to music. Extremely soothing for me. It doesn't work for me. I can't make myself calm by listening to music. I don't care what music it is. So, and the reason I mention this is every one of these things that are mentioned here are things that may work for some of you and may not work for some. Whether it is journaling, whether it is take deep breaths, whether it is visiting your favorite place. For example, travel doesn't excite me. I mean, I can go to a new place. I can go to a beach or a mountain or a forest or whatever, or a new city. It doesn't excite me really. But for a lot of people, that's a hugely important thing. I have one person sitting here. She loves to go to a new place every once in a while. She needs to travel for her to be mentally sane. Next, talk about it. Whether it is to your friends, whether it is to your parents, whether it is to your teachers, whether it is to a complete stranger. Talk about it. Practice a hobby. For you to practice a hobby, you first need to know what your hobby is. And let me also say, a lot of times your hobby may not be what you think today your hobby is. So don't look at your hobby as something that you are good in. What you are good in is your profession. Okay? For those of you who are very good at singing, it may be that your profession is your hobby, which by the way is the case with me. My profession is my hobby. There is very little outside of this that I really enjoy as much as my work. I'm the happiest when I'm at work. But for most people, their hobby and their profession. So what they are good at versus what they enjoy doing. A hobby is not necessarily, it could be something you are good at, but that is not the definition of hobby. A hobby is something that you enjoy doing. You may be terrible at it. Okay? You may be terrible at it, but something that you enjoy doing. So, practice a hobby. Things that you enjoy doing. Next. In my view, while these are generic answers, and absolutely all of us, we should follow them. We should look for the hobby, we should look for journaling, we should talk to people, we should visit our favorite place and do all of that. But in my view, that doesn't solve the entire set of problems. What we all require is a non-judgmental, committed, open, free space where we can express ourselves. So, a non-judgmental, external, open, committed, free ear that will listen to us. Please note, I am not even saying here, along with the ear, a mouth that will respond back. Simply saying, a non-judgmental, committed, external ear to listen to us. Next. And what we have done myself and with my team is we have created a comprehensive set of tools and solutions that people can use as they look at getting support for their mental wellness. That tool, that solution is what we call as soul wellness. Okay? Soul in Arabic means peace. And how we look at defining what we are trying to do is we are defining it as we are trying to provide more peace and more happiness. See, there are a lot of ways that people keep talking about mental health. But if I take everything out, all that we are talking about is remove sadness, reduce sadness, reduce loneliness, reduce pressure, and increase peace and increase happiness. I mean, I have struggled with this, I can't add a sixth adjective to it. Reduce sadness, reduce loneliness, reduce stress, and increase peace, increase happiness. Everything gets accomplished within this. So we call it as soul wellness. Essentially, it's a platform that is available as a mobile app as well. So all of you, and I suggest not just all of you, but all of you with your parents, your siblings, and other people that you think may require or may be able to get some value. See, we have already established that each one of you, every individual in this room, needs some help with their mental health. Not because there is something wrong with them, not because something will break loose if they don't seek mental health, but because they will be able to be better. Better meaning more peaceful, more happy. That may come because your performance will increase. That may come because you will enjoy doing things. That may come because you will be more peaceful or more happy. So, these are the set of tools that we provide on our platform for people to be able to get support for their mental health. Number one, journaling. Now, one normal challenge that we have with journaling. So, everybody here is on Instagram. Is there anybody here? I'm not going to ask who all is on. Is there anybody here who is not on Instagram? You are not saying that because you are in school, right? You are genuinely not on Instagram. On Snapchat? Okay. You guys are on no social media platform.
I don't give an example.
Okay. I'm impressed. That happens very rarely these days. Anyway, so normally problem that people have when they are thinking about Instagram to journal or to write something is you can't really express what you are feeling. Instagram is the place where you and everybody else talks about the people that they don't meet, the food that they don't eat, the places that they don't go to, the life that they don't live, the dresses that they don't wear. While when I'm talking about journaling, I am talking about you expressing yourself. You really talking about, yes,
I have a normal question.
yes.
What does depression mean by your side?
What does depression mean?
By your side, according to you.
According to me. See, according to me, depression is a state where you are not able to get out of your sorrow. Really as simple as that. And then there are clinical definitions. I will actually ask Shweta to give you a clinical answer for it first and then I will add to it.
So depression is basically a condition where your brain has some happy hormones. That is, I guess most of people who are choosing biology as a subject, they will read there are some neurotransmitters which is called dopamine. This is a happy hormone. So, होता क्या है basically that dopamine levels got low in our body, and because of that disturbance of that hormone, continuous disturbance of that hormone, we have this condition called depression. And depression has various symptoms. As in case, whereas in many disorders, depression could make symptoms है, but depression एक बीमारी भी है. And it is as real as physical disease. जैसे हम बोलते हैं ना हम physical fit कैसे रहे, physically out of disease कैसे रहे. Have a healthy food, go for a walk, exercise. So it is as real as it is मेंटल हेल्थ भी ऐसे ही अच्छी होती है and is as real as physical health, right? So depression is the same thing. If you are not like having a good coping mechanism, like journaling, exercise, practicing a hobby and all, you are depressing your thoughts, you are depressing your emotions, you are in continuous stress, you are in continuous anxiety, and that prolonged state causes the clinical depression. I hope I got your answer.
So, for me, depression is a state when you are in sorrow and you are so depressed. Depression, don't think about the word depression. Depressed essentially means pushed down. You are so depressed that you can't get out of your sorrow. When you experience that state for a certain long duration of time and you are not able to get out of it, in my word, in my view, that is depression. Now, there are clinical definitions, and I usually don't like to talk to psychiatrists and psychologists about depression because I have a fairly simplistic way of looking at it. But in my world, when you are in sorrow and for an elongated period of time, an extended period of time, you can't get out of your sorrow, you have depression. Having said that, in my definition, these tools, these ability to be able to come out. So, yeah, I was talking about journaling. Does anybody have any other question before I start talking about tools? So, the first part is journaling. As I said, a lot of us, we have problem. How do I express myself on Instagram? What would people think? So, what we have done, I'm not asking. Okay? So, what we have done in case of journaling is we are saying you can come and journal anonymously. So you don't have to reveal your identity. What it does, it number one gives you the ability to be free, to actually put in what you are feeling, what you are going through. Number two, because you are journaling and putting it out, people are able to respond and you are able to see what others have experienced, are going through, pick up helpful tips, get help and support, associate with what others are going through, and stuff like that. So essentially, our journaling, the way we have created it, it provides you a platform and ability to be able to speak anonymously, which means speak freely. Now, you can also talk as yourself. We don't necessarily say that you always need to be anonymous. You choose. If there is something that you want to speak and you are not comfortable, speak anonymously. Also, we give people an option of keeping a diary. So, diary is essentially journaling for yourself. It may be because it helps you express yourself, or it may be because it's an evolving story and you don't know what you want to put on right now. So, just express yourself for today and then come back later on and maybe complete it and then put it out for the world to see. Again, for the world to see anonymously or for the world to see in a closed manner. Unrelated peers. What we have done, you can actually open all of these. One more. Yeah. What we have done is we give an option for you to also participate in support groups. We have on the platform, we have created various support groups. There would be a support group for adolescent issues. There would be a support group for something else. There would be a support group for teenage problems. There would be a support group for depression. There would be support group for anxiety. There would be support group for panic attacks. There would be support groups for de-addiction and stuff like that. So there will be support groups for everything. Next. Actually, we should start there. Yeah. I'm sorry?
One down.
Yes.
What does unrelated peers mean?
Unrelated peer mean people that you don't know, but they may be similar to you. So somebody, you are in 11th class, right?
Yes.
So somebody who is probably in 11th class in a different school, or in a different city, or in a different country, or somebody in a different section that you may not know, or you are expressing yourself anonymously and that person doesn't know who you are. Sometimes that helps get collected people who are similar to you, to be able to talk back with you, and it gives you a lot of comfort. Okay? Of course, there are on our platform, there are also a variety of different self-help tools. Mood tracking, so you can track whatever mood you have right now, and then go back and look at what was I feeling for the last 1 week or 1 month or 1 year, or for at a specific point of time. Goal setting, so you can set up goals for yourself, and then you can keep on challenging yourself to, did I meet this goal or did I not meet this goal? We also have an area that we call as aligned therapy, which is where you can look for professionals across all different areas: yoga, meditation, motivational speaking, exercising, dance, music, art, painting, mandala art, and anything and everything that you are interested in. We are soon going to also be doing equine therapy, which is horse riding essentially, but it is very considered to be extremely beneficial for people with mental health issues, or for people to be able to more peaceful. Next. Of course, we take care of ensuring your privacy, we take care of ensuring whatever information you share is never exposed outside and stuff like that. Next. Yes. So, questions. I want to hear from you and see if there is anything that you want responses to. Yes, please.
What according to you is mental health?
For me, mental health is the state of being. Mental health is essentially how you feel about yourself, and purely how you feel about yourself. Not how others feel about you, not how you think others feel about you. Purely, truly a state of yourself, a state of being, how you feel about yourself. Whether you are happy, whether you are not happy, whether you are sad, whether you think you are lonely, whether you think you have too many friends, whether you think you have certain challenges, whether you think you don't have certain challenges, whether you think you are good at something, or whether you think you are not good at something. It's simply for me a state of being. Yes. I'm sorry? What is the meaning of? Solve the room. Oh, cry the room. Next.
Suppose two persons are depressed, so they both will have the same symptoms or different?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. One of the reasons that we created Soul Wellness and provide all these tools is because every individual, I don't care if they are identical twins, every individual has a different approach to their mental wellness. So, journaling may work for somebody, support group may work for somebody, allied therapy may work for somebody, mood tracking may work for somebody, goal setting may work for somebody, just participating in their hobby, just talking to their friends, just whatever, visiting your favorite place or whatever else. Every individual has a completely different way of how depression or anxiety or whatever else will occur, and what would they need to get out of it or get support for it. Next. Yes.
How to overcome performance-related anxiety in field of sports?
In the field of sports, see, there are three ways.
So anxiety is basically a very normal reaction of our body. जब भी हमारी बॉडी किसी खतरे में होता है ना, हमारा ब्रेन बहुत सेंस होता है इस चीज के लिए, they can literally feel that they are in danger. So what our brain used to do is it goes in flight and fight mode, right? After that flight and fight mode, what we feel is anxiety. We feel palpitation. हमें लगता है कि धड़कनें बहुत तेज चल रही हैं, पसीने आ रहे हैं, right? So this anxiety, same react of the performance anxiety. When we are going in exams, when we are going in sports, what we feel is we feel anxious. I don't know how to perform. I don't know what is going to happen. What if I won't be able to perform good? What if I fail in that exam? So this performance anxiety is very normal and valid. Until unless you don't faint down. That is phobia. Until unless you are not having very high fever. That is phobia, right? So, what usually happens in anxiety and how you counter it is first have a deep breathing exercises. What you do is you inhale your breathe, hold it for 4 seconds, and release out from your mouth. Inhale and at least do it for 10 times. Right? And second, what you can do is go out for a walk. Go out for a walk in nature, in park, talk to your close friend who don't judge you well. Okay? And also you can write it down somewhere. It's a very good thing. Actually, हर किसी के लिए अलग अलग चीजें वर्क करती है. Suppose that for me it's like diary. For me it's art. I love to paint. Every Sundays I love to paint. For someone it can be cooking food. People love to cook food. For some people, going out, meeting friends, having parties. So for them, different things works for counter to their different anxiety, right? What you can do is, first for a performance anxiety, you can literally go for a walk in nature, in park, talking to your friends. This will help you a lot.
So, let me also add something to this. See, there is one part of performance anxiety where you need to look at doing something at that point of when you are about to go for the performance. At that point of time, perhaps there are only three things you can do. One, breathing. Okay? Inhale in and breathe out. Okay? Breathe in and breathe out. The other, figure out there are people that work better when they are alone, and there are people that work better when there is a crowd. Figure out for yourself, either right before your performance, you should shut your eyes and ears and just be still, or you should look at everybody around. One of the two is going to help. One of the two is your state of being. What would work better for you? So figure that. You have to explore and figure that out for yourself. Okay? 3, pep talk. Whether that pep talk comes from your coach, whether that pep talk comes from your friend or whoever else is there around you. Definitely it won't be one of the competitors. But maybe your teammate, maybe depending on the sport that you are in, maybe your teammate, maybe your coach, maybe somebody else around. These are the 3 things that you can do while you are in the performance. But there is a lot of stuff that you can do for your performance anxiety even before you get there. Okay? What I am talking about here are the various solutions, and again, you have to explore and figure out where do you get help. It could be journaling, it could be support group, it could be just tracking your mood while you are going through that performance and figuring out how you feel and why you felt and stuff like that. Okay? Next. Yes, please.
Why do we feel joyful when there's no reason of being joyful?
Oh, that's an answer. That's a question I or nobody else can answer. Our body, our brain works in extremely different manners. Can you answer that? No. The question is, why do we feel joyful at times when there is no reason to be joyful? It's how our body works. It's the hormones. So let me give
It's
a.
like we can say a good mental health state is emotions is very normal. Feeling joyful, feeling sad, feeling crying, feeling anxious, feeling angry, feeling frustrated. They're all emotions. And don't think if you are crying then you are not mentally stable, you are depressed, you are having mental issues. No. Feeling sad, feeling happy for some moment of time and then getting back normal about it. It's what called a good mental health. It's okay to cry, it's okay to get angry, it's okay to get frustrated, but then getting back to what you are, what your personality is, it is your good mental health.
So I guess what Shweta is saying is it is absolutely okay to cry or be sad. It is not okay to cry about being crying or to be sad about being sad. So to be able to express yourself, and you feel joy because of variety of different chemical reactions. You feel joy because your brain is just triggered a thought or something, recall something that happened with you at some point of time, or that it thinks it might be able to accomplish. It's not possible to answer why you feel joyful when you think there is no reason. Next, you had a question.
According to you, what makes a dolphin different?
What makes adolescent?
depressed or stressed.
So basically, adolescent is a stage where we also call it in psychology self-crisis state. We don't know what we are going to be. We want to be someone, but then our parents don't want to be that. Right? होता क्या है? हम चाहते हैं हमें freedom मिले, but somewhere our parental issues, our teachers, our parents don't want to be with us, right? And हम जो चाहते हैं और वो जो चाहते हैं उसकी differentiation की वजह से we feel this way. We feel like I don't know what to do. We are in a crisis state. यहाँ भी नहीं है और वहाँ भी नहीं है. पेरेंट्स का भी सुनना है, एकेडमिक प्रेशर भी है, अच्छा भी करना है, फाइनेंशियल नीड्स भी है अपनों, क्योंकि दोस्तों को भी दिखाना है, अप्रूवल लेना है, बट कहीं पहुंच नहीं पा रहे, एंड दैट स्टेट ऑफ बीइंग नोवेयर. एंड ऐसा नहीं है कि ऐसा पहुंच नहीं पाते वहां तक आगे तक, एक वो स्टेट होती है डेवलपमेंट की, वो निकल जाती है, उसके भी फील नॉर्मल, वी फील लाइक सो it was a time and we are calmed down. And yes, also our chemical disturbances. In adolescence, we go through a lot of chemical changes, a lot of female and male hormones. That might also we feel this thing, right?
So important is in teenage it is more needed for you to be able to getting some support for whatever issues, whatever mental health challenges, whatever you are feeling, whatever you are going through. One last question from you, and then I will leave here. You can come to the application, you can ask your question there. I will leave here and even give you my phone number or my social media accounts, and you can come and ask your questions there. Because I know ma'am has been asking me to close this down for the last few minutes, but just one last question to you.
How can we identify that we are depressed?
See, don't identify that you are depressed. Identify that you are sad and lonely. Okay? If you think you are at the point of depression, then the only answer is go to a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist and get an assessment done. There is scientific screening, assessment, diagnostics that is done to determine whether you are in the stage of what is called as clinical depression or what is called as ADHD or many other mental disorders or mental issues. Okay? But what I suggest is first try to figure out when you are sad and lonely. Try to start getting help for yourself. If it becomes overbearing and if you just can't get out of your sorrow, okay, go take the next step. Go to a therapist, take counseling, take screening, and go to those next steps. But first and foremost, start taking help today. Start taking help now. Start talking to people around you maybe to begin with, and then keep taking those gentle steps. Come to the application, the mobile platform that we have created, seek support there, amongst other things. Okay? So don't try, you can't determine by yourself if you are depressed. You will need to get a diagnostics or an assessment done, and that also with a licensed practitioner, whether it is a psychotherapist or whether it is a psychiatrist.
One doubt.
Yes.
Initially, at the beginning of the seminar, you told that no psychiatrist or therapist is needed. But now, at the conclusion of this session, you assert that first step would be taking help from psychotherapist.
I am saying, that's not what I said, so let me clarify. I am saying, if you are in extreme condition, if you are in a stage of clinical depression, then definitely you will need to go to a therapist or need to go to a psychiatrist. Then only a psychotherapist or a psychiatrist, you need immediate intervention. It's almost like you are extremely sick. Okay, take a medication. Once you start feeling better, do exercise, take care of your weight, take care of what you eat, do all that. But immediately if you have a problem, a sincere, serious problem, you need to go to a doctor. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
So you told that according to your childhood memories or the childhood time that depression was that like दो थप्पड़ मारो ठीक हो जाएगा. But according to now current scenario, it's totally different. Why is this so?
Because we have evolved. दो थप्पड़ मारो से ठीक नहीं होता है. दो थप्पड़ मारो से वो thoughts कर्व होते हैं. वो thoughts कर्व होने का मतलब you live with them forever. And at some point of time, in some people, with continuous reinforcement and then with continuous, happenings again and again, they trigger into serious disorders. This approach to be able to seek help right away is essentially going to give you that leeway, going to give you that time, going to heal whatever has happened now, and you can keep starting fresh. So that wasn't the right system, that wasn't the right way of being. That curbs your thoughts.
So just to add on it,
One doubt.
Yes.
How is depression different from disorder?
Depression is a sort of disorder. See, depression, there is a clinical depression, okay, which is a scientific stage that is identified through an assessment and diagnostics. Okay? Either if you think you have clinical depression, as I said, you need to go and get yourself diagnosed or get an assessment done. Till that point of time, you can keep taking support through self-help tools, through journaling, or through other counselings and other things. Okay? But depression is, in that sense, depression is a sort of mental health disorder. Similar to if you have ADHD, then also, if you are at a certain stage, you may have to take medication, you may have to get assessment, you may have to get therapies. But
Then what is disorder?
bipolar, schizophrenia,
What what do you exactly mean by disorder? Because
Disorder.
bipolar or schizophrenia might be the type of disorder.
yes. So disorder is basically we have a body type, a extreme personality. This is kind of right? But then at some point of time we get disturbed. We are not the same way as we are. When we are normal, like when we are in a very normal state, without any trauma, without any damage of our life. So after that, some period of time, when we don't care about the mental health, for a long time, what happens is we have particular types of symptoms, which can be, I don't want to live anymore, my life is worthless, I don't want to have this life now. Which can be elevating of moods. I'm laughing for no reason, I'm crying for no reason, I'm hitting someone for no reason. The set of symptoms that is disorder. And also, the conclusion of this workshop is not to get a therapist, and yes, somewhere it is, but to have a primitive health care for yourself. Like जैसे हम अपनी physical health का ख्याल रखते हैं ना, अच्छा खाना, exercise, sleep, everything. ऐसे ही mental health का भी ख्याल रखना है, because it is as well as physical health. And उसके बाद भी जैसे हम बीमार पड़ जाते हैं, हमें फीवर हो जाता है, चाहे हम कितनी भी केयर करें, उसके बाद भी we have to, then what we do, go for a doctor. As the same way, उसके बाद भी अगर हमें ऐसा लगे that life is somewhere not worth, I'm not feeling happy, then you go for a counselor, you go for a therapist. This is the way to deal with it, right?
Now I think I'm ready.
perfect. So you will have to ask the question after this session, probably separately, because I know we are running out of time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. You've been a wonderful audience, and you have participated in this. And I think since everybody has participated, we probably did not. So one thing that I did not mention earlier, everybody that did a participation in this workshop. Okay, I usually look at it as somebody that actually speaks or does something in the workshop. They get a certificate of participation, which is something that will be interesting for you as you move forward in your life. I think you wouldn't have enough certificates. We will get you more certificates so you can give out to everybody that you have. Thank you so much, everyone.
Kapil.
Thank you, sir, for sharing such an informative information with us. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Mr. Kapil Gupta. Their unwavering commitment to improving the health and well-being of our community has made a lasting impact and inspired us all. I would also like to thank our chairman, sir, principal ma'am, vice principal ma'am, and all the teachers for organizing such an enlightening workshop for us, and for all of you present here for being such a delightful audience. Thank you and have a nice day ahead.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Nice to do. Excuse me, ma'am. I would like to.
And this is on behalf of Solh Wellness. This is a certificate of appreciation for the school. Thank you so much for As I said, you can go on your mobile, go on the Android store or the Apple store. You can download the Solh Wellness application and ask any question that you have there, or you can go on Solh Wellness on the social media profiles and ask your question over there. We will ensure you get a response. I am sorry I could not take all of your questions, but hopefully you'll be able to come there and ask and get clarifications. Thank you so much.